Hello and welcome, everybody. I'm joined by the victorious Immortals Inero, the new coach of Immortals. Must feel good starting off a 2-0 week one against Shopify Rebellion. First question I got to ask, I think you've got to seen them all. You've seen the analyst desk, you've seen all the tier lists. Do you think you guys getting placed in the bottom two of these tier lists is the correct call? What did you guys if you saw any of them, is your team using that as fuel? Like, what's your initial reaction to that kind of stuff?
I don't think anyone on the team really cares about the tier list, to be honest. For my perspective, at least, I don't want to have any conclusion really until I saw us on stage.
Mhm.
Um, this gives a lot of confidence for things that we were working on. Um, Actually showing up, playing controlled and not making a shit fest. It was a really, really big part of everything we were doing because the Mortal Scrims were really just a mess, and I think that's why they were getting a lot of wins is because it was a mess and the other team can't predict what they're doing, so they get some advantages. Um, so for me, I just wanted to see our first games on stage to really know where we sit. And obviously, we're playing Shopify, who also placed like pretty low on the standing. So it's hard to say how much of a takeaway I'm going to get from it. We're like, no, for sure, we're a top four team. I'm not going to go anywhere that far yet. Just yeah, it was nice to have a little slow, consistent game playing off things we worked on. That felt nice. So I think we'll be pretty good.
Perfect. And, I think as you come into another situation where you're kind of starting, I would say, not necessarily from a clean slate. Obviously, Immortals didn't make any roster changes, but you're coming in as the new coach or, GM, you're coming in as the new management. For you specifically, when you were looking at Immortals prior to you getting hired, did you feel like, not trying to throw shade to the other coaching staff prior to you and the management prior to you, but did you think really all they needed was a personnel change at the GM level, at the coach level? Like, did you, when you were looking for work, when you were potentially interviewing with other teams, like what kind of drew you to Immortals and, starting with this team and having the confidence to, take this job on and starting kind of new again?
Yeah, for confidence on like that, all they needed was a personnel change. You never know. You never know until you've actually like seen how the team works internally.
Mhm.
Obviously, I can have some like guesses based off of past history with people that are on the team, but even then, there's always like wild cards of dynamic where I don't know if this player doesn't like this or doesn't agree with how this works in the game.
Well,
Like maybe there's some hidden tension I don't know about, and that's the real issue that you have to get through. Impossible to know. It's always impossible to know for every team, though. So for me, I was down for it just for the challenge. I love competing. I don't care what level I'm competing at. I want to be able to make the best team possible for the players that are here and for the staff that are here. So that was my primary focus. When I was talking to teams in off season, I did an interview with Digon where I talked about the same of like it comes down to options of what are there. And a lot of the options were just sitting at 2025 is potentially something there, but not right now. Like we're not going to make any changes now. Um, so for me, is like, okay, I've got an option at Immortals. I can either take this or I can sit out and like do volunteer work for another LCS team. Um, Volunteer work is like safe, it's very safe and easy. Contribute some value. Maybe that comes into a connection for a team in the future. Like, cool. Um, I really like a lot of the players that are on this team, and I feel like this is also kind of their last shot to do something. And that is a motivator for me of like, okay, you know what? Fuck it. Let's just make this the best possible experience for these guys. Make it as good as I can. Like if we can't make the team work, we can't look good together. Like for a lot of them, it's just this is the last run. Like you're not going to get another chance. And I want to help people avoid that situation because, like, knowing these guys personally, I know they're good players, and they've proven that in the past. They just need the right dynamic and the right group for it. So, I don't know. That seemed like a fun challenge of like maybe I can provide that. Maybe I'm the person who can help this. Um, so really, that's like my motivator and that's my goal. That's what drew me to doing Immortals over, you know, chilling, taking it safe on a like a better team.
um, coming into Immortals, right? They had rumors, speculation that these guys are like they're scrim demons. There's something like this. There's something like that. For you as a coach, what is the one or two pivotal things that you can work on with the team, or you can maybe advise a team, maybe give out some knowledge that if you're a team that's very good in scrims or can win scrims or can take scrims off of these higher level teams, but you can't transfer it over to the stage game, what are the one or two, maybe even there's more, maybe three things that you worked on with Immortals to kind of convert scrim success to stage success?
Well, first I'd say we're not at stage success yet, you know? Like, we just beat the 7th seed team from last split, so we're not there yet. I haven't proven anything for it yet. But it was really just practicing with intention, and as basic as that is to say, that is always um, a really important thing in esports that isn't necessarily always there in every team. There needs to be an intent for every single thing that we're doing, and people need to be okay with boredom. They need to be okay with the fact that, I'm going to go in and I'm going to complain about the same thing for 5 games straight for you. Like, I'm just going to, if you're not doing it correct, like, I don't give a shit about the rest of the game. I'm going to care about, like, this 5 minute timer. Why'd you mess this up again? Why'd you mess this up again? Like, you know what you're supposed to do here. Why are you not doing it? And I think if you're not really strict on stuff like that, people get comfortable with it. Like, these small details matter because they pop up on stage. Like today versus Shopify, like those details mattered a lot for us in like actually stalling through early for champs that scale really well versus a team that can play early. Like when you're playing against Callista, Corki, Rumble, Nidalee early, like they shit on your champs early. This is their whole job, and you need to be able to play around it correctly. And so those timers will really matter. Where the other team needs to play correctly around theirs too. But if you play your job right and they don't, and you're okay with being bored, you'll win the game. Um, and you got to practice that. You got to practice that discipline. And I think one of the biggest things that I'm really good at doing, like just keeping the team held to that and keeping it really set to. We're just reviewing like one or two games or one or two things from a game, and we're keeping it at that until you fix it. And when you fix it, all right, you better keep this forever. You better be doing this forever. And if you're not, I'm going to be annoying again. So I love being kind of a little nuisance for the team. I'm not going to lie. I'm sure if you talk to Tactical at any point, he's just going to make fun of me for what I have him do with Grubs all the time. So yeah, I think that's really it.
You've been coaching. I think you're going to be cresting up on 10 years next year. At least in the esports state, consulting, coaching, all that kind of work.
Yeah.
For you as an individual, being on a handful of different teams, having a long-term project with Golden Guardians, and something I would consider a success with that organization for when you guys made Worlds, you got second, all that kind of stuff. How difficult is it for you to implement maybe your coaching style or your systems? Do you have like a certain way that you want to always coach, or are you one of the coaches that kind of tailors your style depending on the team? Right. I don't think necessarily either philosophy is wrong, but I know there are coaches that are very headstrong in how they want to implement things, and there are more flexible coaches.
I would say I definitely have things, of course, that I'm like pretty headstrong on. Like, we're going to do this, and it's because I feel like it's a fundamental aspect of the game that we must be doing, and there's no good reason not to. But past that, I do leave some things up in the air of like, okay, maybe we don't agree on how this should be played out in the game. If it majority thinks this is the correct thing, like, okay, cool. I want to understand your thought process, and then I'm going to hold us to that thought process, and that's what we're going to do. And if we're not doing it, I want to understand why. And then just challenging ideas back and forth. I don't want to always be correct, and I know I'm not always going to be correct. I don't have enough of the like individual player perspective for every single role, and I'm never going to have that. No coach is going to have it. But every player can contribute their own perspective, own idea, and then we should build that into what we think about the game and what should be happening, and like the reasons for why we're doing things. Um, and I think that leaves it open where players feel a lot more what is it, like they have the decision of what the team is doing. They have a lot more ownership over it, which is really valuable for people buying in and doing it. So I hold that pretty steady. Like, I want team buy-in. I don't need to be the dictator, but I'm going to hold us firm to what we agree to, team.
It almost feels like you're kind of towing the line of player agency versus what the coach has, right? Like, it's like, is it kind of a balancing act in that regard when you say they have more ownership, or is it more kind of, I'm going to give you things that you can work on, like tactical? I'm going to let you figure out how you want to play this 2v2 or what you want to do during this matchup, or is it, how does that kind of work out? And you don't have to spill everything, obviously. You don't gotta
Of
say.
course. It's like a two-way street. There's things where like, hey, this is your job. Like, I trust you to be doing this. And if it's not working, we're gonna talk about it together and figure out why and come to a solution. But it's always a line. Like, you can't just concede all authority as a coach and like the players just run everything, like that never works. That's maybe feels good, but players aren't gonna agree on everything at a certain point, and you need a point of authority there to um to run that. So yeah, I definitely toe the line with it. It's more so I just want them to have buy-in for what they're doing. Like they feel like they agree with this decision. They're not just like, oh, I have to do it because this guy's saying it. I don't agree with it, but I don't want to. That will break your team apart if that's how it is.
Final two questions here. My first one: how does your relationship with Joey, Immortals Joey, the other other person on staff, the other personnel? How do you guys kind of split up the tasks and delegate for certain things? Does he help more with the micro aspect of the game, obviously because he played at a high level before? How does that kind of work with you? In was it very important for you guys to establish a fundamental kind of relationship, like this is how we're going to do things throughout the season, or is it like again more flexible with him and what he wants to do?
Yeah, a lot of it's more flexible. Like, of course, I'm coming into a system that already kind of exists, which is always kind of weird as a head coach. Like, you come into stuff that's already established that the team does. So we just talked out, what are the consistent things that already exist there. How Joey does things, like what he's looking to do that maybe he feels like he didn't really get to do last split when he was in the role. Um, so we've talked a lot on that. Like I've never really known Joey too much before. I've been aware of him, but not like spoken in depth about what he's doing. No one really goes into that across teams too much. So it's been a lot of like learning like what he likes to do. I see like, hey, open window to do what you want. Like I'd love to see it, and I'd love to see like how you want to approach coaching and what you do. And he's shown me like a lot of good things that I haven't done on my teams. That if I go to a team and Joey's not there, I'm probably gonna steal that and do that myself too because I think it's really good. So it's been like a breath of fresh air. Like I've worked with the same coaching staff for a while at Golden Guardians, and that was a big point of like wanting the coaches to be close, understanding how we work, being on the same like wavelength, so we can be the best team possible for our players as well. So rebuilding that has been really cool and really nice to see different perspectives on coaching and how to help out a team.
Perfect. Final question here, less serious. There have been reports. Can you confirm or deny? Is it a white boy summer?
It is a white boy summer. I'm happy to say that. Shout out to Chet Hanks. That's my boy.
All right.
I
Thank you
love
so
him.
much. Thank you so much, Inero. I appreciate it. Any final shout out to the Immortal fans?
Yeah, I mean, cheers to those guys. It's really nice having some people support at a new team, especially when a lot of them are, I think, former Golden Guardians fans. So appreciate them. And yeah, thanks for the support. I know the boys love it.
Thank you so much. Hey everybody, thanks for watching the video. I'm hoping you guys enjoyed the content. If you did, leave a like, comment, do all that jazz. I genuinely try to respond to every single comment I see because it's always interesting to see the other opinions of people that care about League of Legends esports as much as I do. Obviously, the best way to support me is to hit that subscribe button and hit the bell for notifications on my latest uploads. If you want to see more of me and my content, I stream on Twitch 5 days a week. The link will be in the description box below. If you are into short form content, I'm also on TikTok. We talk about LPL, LCK, LEC, all the stuff over there. We talk about roster moves. So if your jam is short form content, head over to TikTok, hit the follow button there. I'm also on Twitter. So all of that stuff will be in the description box below. But other than that, thanks for watching the video and I hope to see you soon.